Okay, so we'll go ahead and start October's webinar. Thanks everybody for joining. So this webinar we will be going through selecting files for backup, backup sets and their rules, and just the basics of the support portal. And then we will do a Q&A at the end for any questions you have. Okay. So my name is Niall Fahy. I'm the EMEA Technical Education Specialist at Mozy. So I look after our internal support agents, training our internal support agents, as well as external partners in EMEA and pretty much everywhere else outside of North America. Okay. So an overview of this webinar, as I said, we'll be just going over selecting files for backup, how to use backup sets and how to create your own custom backup sets, and the basics of the support portal. Okay, some definitions. So there are two types of license keys available for MozyPro customers. So we have desktop keys and server keys. I mentioned these because just for certain backup sets, like VSS backup sets, you will need a server license key. Okay, so a desktop license key is designed for desktop and laptop computers and for backing up actual desktop machines. Server license keys are designed to back up server operating systems, but they can also run on desktop computers as well, in case you need to back up a network share or anything like that. Okay, so what files should I be selecting? Ideally, you should be selecting your most important and critical files. By that we mean it should be the files that are actually critical to you. Things like Word documents, images, video, Excel files, depending on your particular type of work. For example, with an accountancy firm or a financial firm, maybe Excel files and software they use like QuickBooks might be the most important things to back up. So it just comes down to selecting the most important things for you, mainly because this also reduces the amount of quota you're using for backups, and it also reduces your cost. What files should I not select? Files you don't need to back up, things like system files, programs you download from online, and non-critical files. Programs you download from online, it would be an example, things like if you decide to download Google Chrome or Firefox, the executables that come with those, there's no need to be backing these up, as it's faster to download them directly from the company's website than having to create a restore from ourselves and having to actually then download them to run them. System files are the same. A lot of system files, even if you do restore them from ourselves, are not usable again. So again, you're using up your quota and your space for files that are not going to be able to be restored properly for you because they're system files, and we're backing up files and folders for you here. It's not a kind of a system snapshot of your actual machine. Okay, so moving on from file selection, how can backup sets help me? So backup sets will allow you to group your specific file types. They'll also help you in terms of if you have files all over your C drive of a particular type that you want to back up. For example, if you want to back up .doc files or .docx or any Word document files from your entire C drive, if you select your entire C drive and include a rule to back up document files from all over your computer, then whenever you add a new file of that type to your machine, it's going to be available for you it's going to be selected automatically for you because it falls into that rule type and that backup set type. Whereas if you if you have a folder, if you've files within a folder and you don't have that folder selected, when you add in files into that folder, they won't be selected automatically. And I'll go through when we're going through the examples of actual examples of that. What else can backup sets help you to do? They can help you to exclude and include certain file types or groupings. As I said, it can allow you to create a rule whereby you can include certain file types for yourself. It can also help you to exclude particular file types. So if you don't want to be backing up any MP3 files or anything like that, or maybe you don't want to be backing up PDF files, for example, you can create a rule to exclude them from your backups. And if they are included in an area that you have selected for backup, then they will be excluded because you'll have an exclusionary rule on them. Again, we will go through examples of this in the after we finish the slide deck here. Okay. Also, using backup sets, you can back up Vss Snapshots. So for those of you who are backing up Exchange databases or SQL databases or any databases like that use VSS writers, using a server key, you will be able to list the VSS backup sets. When Mozy does its initial install, it will scan the file system. If it finds any of these VSS backup sets, it'll include them in your backup sets section. You can then select these backup sets to back up your databases. What this allows is it allows you to back up the actual the snapshots rather than the individual files and folders for databases. This becomes easier as restoring using a restoring a database using a VSS backup set is an awful lot easier than restoring using the individual files and folders. And for anybody who's had the unfortunate necessity to actually restore a SQL database or an Exchange database using the files and folders will know what I mean. It's a very long and tedious process, and it requires somebody with a good knowledge of SQL and Exchange to do that. Whereas using a VSS backup set, because there's only 6 or 7 VSS files that are backed up, there's an actual wizard there that you can go through in terms of so when you want to restore and to rebuild your database. And there's more documentation on restoring databases that can be found on our knowledge base at support.mozy.com. The include to exclude rule. So this will be something I will go through when I'm going through the examples, but basically as Mozy uses Windows logic for creating its backup sets, in order to exclude certain files, you'll need to include them first. So what I mean there is that although logically the way we would think is that you would select exclude these files and it would exclude those files for you, because you're using a computer logic here as Windows does, you have to actually create a backup set whereby you're including the files and then you exclude them. And it's a hard one to explain with words, so what I'll do is I'll go through an example, a hands-on example in a couple of seconds and to clarify that point for you. And it's basically one that we find a lot of people have a bit of trouble with when they're trying to exclude files from backing up. Okay. Okay, so the support portal. To log into the support portal, you go to support.mozy.com. Once you land on that landing page, on the right-hand side, at the top right, you will see a My Support button. If you click on that, you will get a login. You log in here with your credentials for your Mozy account, so your Mozy username and password, and then you will get into your support area. Okay. What can you do within the support portal? The support portal will allow you to open a support case, review your existing cases that you may have opened or a case that you may have had opened in the past. It will also allow you to obtain your support ID if you need to call support. And from there as well, you will also have access to the live chat to chat live with some of our support agents. Okay, and we'll go through that in a sec. Okay, so selecting file administration. So I'm going to open up my Mozy settings here. Okay, so when you're going through file selection, so you have to remember anything you select here in the backup sets will also show as selected here in the file system set. So, and it goes vice versa. If you select a file here in the file system, it'll show up in your backup sets. So what you need to be careful of is that if you do select a backup set, which selects a load of files and folders for you, if you then go in here to the file systems tab and deselect that file, it'll also get deselected from your backup sets. Okay, so you just need to be careful when you're deselecting files that they'll also be deselected from the backup sets if you deselect them from the file system, and vice versa. Okay. When you open up the file system set, when the tick box next to your next to the file name has a grayed out background, that just basically means that there's files within that folder selected, but not all files are. If it's a white background, it means that all the folder and everything within it is selected. Okay. And as you can see, sometimes if you try and select your entire C drive, you will be warned, and just a recommendation that you don't back up your entire C drive, as there is operating system and system files within there that will be, there's no reason to back them up, as they can't be restored and used again, basically. Okay. Backup sets. Okay, as I was saying a while ago, your backup sets will basically allow you to create a rule to back up particular file types or file sizes or so on, all over your machine. So, for example, if you select here, if you select the option Photos and Images, if you select this backup set, it will search for photos and images all over your machine. So if you put a new photo onto your desktop, because it falls into that backup set rule, it'll back it up. If you put that into a folder deep into your C drive, it'll also get selected because it falls into that backup set rule. Because this backup set will scan your entire C drive, it'll pick up on all these files that are added later on. Whereas, as I was saying a while ago, if you came in here and if you don't have an entire folder selected, so for example here, because for example on this folder here, as I have everything selected in there and I have the entire folder selected, anything I add in later on into this folder will be selected. So if I create a new Word document now and put it into this folder, it would be picked up and backed up. But if I didn't have that folder selected, and even though I have files already selected within that folder, if I didn't have the folder itself selected, files that I add in there won't be picked up for backup, because it will read it as that I don't have the entire folder selected, so I don't want everything in the folder selected for backup. So that's why sometimes it can be more beneficial to use backup sets, whereby you can search an entire area for particular files and folders that you want. And to go through that, you will see in here, you may look at your own machine now and see that you have different backup sets within your own settings window, and that's simply because there is default options that we have within the default backup sets that we create within Mozy. Okay, and when the installation goes through, Mozy will scan the file system. If there's files of the type that the default backup set that is there are found, it'll populate that backup set. If they're not found, it won't show up the backup set here. Okay. To change that, if you want to see all the default backup sets, you come into your options and advanced and tick the option here, show all pre-configured backup sets. Okay. Doing that, as you can see, will include a lot more backup sets. Okay. Now, to create your own personal backup sets, just right click here in the white space and add a backup set. Okay? Adding a backup set, you can give your backup set a name. Okay? You can search the location you want to search in. So if I tick here, it'll search my entire computer. If I only tick here, it'll only search on that user. And if I had additional disk drives, I could select those particular disk drives on their own and only search those particular drives. Okay, so here I'm going to select my entire machine. So that now is my search location I've selected. I've given my backup set a name. And now I'm going to add a rule. Okay. Now when I go to add a rule, I get the option here, include and exclude. Okay. I can also create the option by file type, by size, by last modified, by created, file name, or folder name. And if I want to add additional rules, I can add them by just clicking the plus mark there. If I want to remove them, hit the minus mark. Okay, so now that we're here, I'm going to go through the exclude rule. So as I was saying a while ago, because if I want to exclude files, as I showed you there, I select the entire route here, add, okay, and I've include and exclude options here. Logically, the way we would think as humans, because it would be logical in that sense, would be that I would select here, exclude file type, and for this example, I'm going to say .doc files, okay? And what I'm logically thinking is that I want to create a backup set that will have .doc, so it'll have all .doc files within that backup set, and then I'll be excluding that. So that's the way I'm logically thinking. And here you would think that by hitting down the drop-down box, exclude and filetime.doc, searching my entire C drive would give me that outcome. But unfortunately, because we're dealing with a computer logical, the computer's logic here, that's unfortunately not the way it happens. And I've created this backup set already because it takes a bit to scan. So what actually happens is that when I do this option here, exclude file type.doc, and hit OK, I'm just going to cancel that there, it creates this backup set here. And as you can see, that's quite a large backup set. There's 29.1 gigabytes of files there. And what's actually happened is that I've created a backup set with absolutely everything on my C drive in that backup set, and it's just excluded the .doc files from that backup set. But that's not what I wanted to do. So if you do want to exclude files, so as my example was going, I want to exclude my .doc files from backup. This could be your MP3 files, it could be PDFs, it could be Excel files, it could be any type of file. Okay. What you need to do is you need to first come here to Options, tick this option here in the Advanced setting, Show Advanced Backup Set Features. Tick that option, come back to your backup sets, right click, Add Backup Set, and now what you're going to do is I'm going to select my entire C drive, add the rule, and I'm going to include file type .doc. Okay? And then I'm going to tick this option here. So as I was saying a while ago, the include to exclude rule. So what I'm doing is I'm including file type .doc into a backup set. So I'm creating a container, which is my backup set, and I'm putting all the type .doc into that backup set. And then by ticking this option here, I'm then excluding that backup set. So what happens is I get this backup set here with 14 files in it, all .doc files, and they're excluded from backing up. And as you can see here, the backup set goes red because those files are excluded. And as you can see, compared to this folder here, where I have the option to tick here, untick, or add a file or folder. So I can tick out and select these files. Here, I don't have that option because I wanted them to be excluded. Okay, so that's the backup set rule, and that's how you exclude files. And that's what I mean by include to exclude. In the first option, when we just selected the option to exclude, what we actually did was create a backup set with every file from our C drive, and it excluded then from that backup set the .doc files, which wasn't what we wanted to do, and it gave us this monstrous backup set here of 29.1 gigabytes with 89,000 files. So when we went in here again, selected our option in the options menu to show advanced backup sets features, came in here, selected our entire C drive, added the rule, included our .docs, and then ticked the option here to exclude them then. So what we did then was create this little backup set here whereby we created the container, put all the type of .docs into that container, and then excluded it. Okay? Now, I'm just going to go through now the backup, the actual support window. If anybody wants and has any questions on that, I can come back to it again when we do the Q&A. Okay. Okay, so Mozy support page. So what you want to do is go to support.mozy.com and you will land on this page here. From here you can see our community, which is just our forum boards whereby people participate and discuss certain topics and certain issues they're having themselves, and you can go in there and interact with some other of our users. The forums are also moderated, and they're moderated by some of our level 2 support technicians who have periods each day. Each agent has a window whereby they moderate and monitor the forums. Okay, so if you have any questions, you can pop in there as well if they're not urgent. Knowledge base then is all of our knowledge base articles. You can find some useful articles in here on, again, if you have any issues with selecting files and folders, you can find knowledge base articles on that. You can also find articles on some of the latest issues as well. Okay, so what we want to do here is come to My Support, click on My Support. It'll take us to the login page. Okay, and then you come here to your support. Once you log in, you'll come to your support window here. From here, you can see on the left-hand side here, you have My Support ID. So if you need to call into support, that's the number, that's the support ID you will quote to or enter into the phone system to log in and to log your call. Okay. Also from here, you can see you have chat live online now. So if you click that option there, it will take you directly to the chat window and you will join with a support agent for a live chat. Okay. So you can see here, I don't have any cases open at the moment. But if you did, you would have a list here of cases, be they opened or historical cases that you may have had open previously. Okay. If you want to create a new case, you can do so from here. Okay. So I'll give you the created date. You select your device. You select the status, your case reason, subject, and a brief description. Once you fill in those options, you submit it, and it will be submitted into the support queue. Okay. The main things really here in the support section for support cases is your support ID, okay, and the option here to chat live with support, okay, and then you obviously have your create cases. If you have cases open, as I say, they will list here, and you can just open them up and you can review them if there's been any notifications or any steps being sent to you by a support agent. The other advantage you have here, as I say, you have the community. Again, you can directly access it from here. There's tutorials in there, and also the webinars are posted up in the community as well. you have your knowledge base, so if you have getting started section, you have a solution section, you have frequently asked questions, and error messages that you may be receiving. And the documentation then will actually go through the official documentation of the client. Okay, so that's the presentation for today. I'm going to hand it over now for the remaining 30 minutes for Q&A. So if you have any questions, you can just pop them into the questions box. Okay. Thanks very much for everybody for joining. And as I say, we'll go through the questions now. Okay. Okay. Okay, Sydney, your question that you want to avoid backing up duplicate files. Is there? So you believe that you're backing up duplicate files on your backup data, and you don't want to go through to physically eliminate the duplicates. Okay, it would be hard to create an exclude rule for that, because you'd need to know what files you would be wanting to remove. What I may do is, Sydney, if you can email me separately, and what I'll do is I'll have a support agent reach out to you and maybe set up a support session with you to actually look into this for you. So if you're still on here, Sydney, could you email me? You'll have my email address from the webinar invitation you would have received. Okay. Manny, you asked how many licensing desktops can I have on my account? So you can have as many licensing desktops on your MozyPro account. We wouldn't recommend that you would use the same username for all those machines that you have on there. Okay, if you're looking, if it's because if you're going to be signing up users and they're going to be using different usernames and emails, again, you can have as many as you want. But again, we wouldn't recommend that you put all those computers under your own username. Okay, so Manny, I'm not sure if that answers your question 100%. If I haven't, please just let me know, and I'll try and go through it again. Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Sloan, you can't have different schedules for different backup sets, because whatever you select for backup is what gets backed up. You can't have individual backup sets for individual scheduled times to run a backup. Okay, you would need, there wouldn't be any way for you to be actually able to do that. You need to select the files and folders you want, and they get backed up then. There's no way to actually individually create backup sets and then set schedules for those backup sets. Everything that you have selected goes and gets backed up. Okay. Sue Oxley, can I back up? Yeah, you can back up other drives than the C drive. It's just that I only have a C drive on my laptop here. If you had other files, if you had other drives, you can select them as well. That's no problem. Okay, Deborah, you're having the same problem. I assume you mean in terms of Sydney's question a while ago with the duplicate files, possibly. If so, could you also email me directly, and I will get somebody to contact you and have a look into that. Thanks very much. Okay, Jennifer, you need to back up QuickBooks using Mozy. What I would say is that if you can, I would create a backup set that would back up just QuickBooks on its own. So creating a backup set for QuickBook files, therefore if there's any files that would fall into that program will be picked up. That would probably be the best way to do it. Daniel, when I selected all files in folder, it appeared it had a grey background with check instead of white. Okay, no, that's so I think what you mean is here. So yeah, when I selected all those, that's because it won't change because I haven't actually submitted the rule yet. Until I actually, if I hit yes here, it will change. Okay, and that's why it didn't. The checkbox didn't change. Let me give it a data on my backside key. Okay, Donna. You're backing up. You're doing your initial backup of a server. It's about 90 gigs of data, and my backups keep failing. Okay. Again, Donna, I think the best thing to do there is if you email me individually, and I will get a support case opened up for you, and I get one of the support agents to reach out to you for that. That's a specific issue. There may be other reasons for the backup failing. It could possibly be down to a network issue also. So to let for the best case scenario, I'd say open. If Donna Plunkett, if you please email me directly, and I will get a case opened up for you. It'd be the best to go through that. Okay. Does the desktop also back up? Yeah, you can select in the files and folder section here, Deborah. You can see here, you can select the desktop for backup. It'll back up all the files and folders you have on your desktop. It won't back up, however, it won't back up programs on the desktop. So as I have on my desktop here, I'd have Skype and Google Chrome and Mozilla and stuff like that. It wouldn't select those for backup, but it would select the files and folders that are there. Okay. So, Manny, your username is support. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that you would use your username for all their machines. Okay, I know you're the central administrator, and okay, so tell me if I'm wrong here. So what I'm thinking is that you're the central administrator. You're backing up all those users' machines. Do those users have the client installed on? Do you have the client? Do you have the Mozy software installed on each one of those users' machines? And if so, are you using that support@Compass email address for all those installations? Or is it that you're using the user's email address for the installation? Just let me know. And if okay. Yeah, so Michael, that's a good question. Yeah, if you have an exclude rule will also always outrank an include rule. So if you do have a situation where if I created two rules, include.docs and exclude.docs, the exclude.docs one would take precedent over the include. Okay, so an exclude one will always be the one that would be hit first. Okay. Okay, Jeannie, you're a new user, and yeah, so okay, yeah, backup sets would probably be the best, I would imagine, for your QuickBooks and Artworks and TaxWorks, etc. So where you could select a location where those programs are and back up that location. Again, if you're unsure and you're not, this probably covers as well, Jennifer, your question. If you're unsure that things are being selected entirely, what I would recommend is come into our support and maybe go into live chat to get we can get one of the first line support guys to actually set up a support session with you and actually do a remote session with you and go through your file selection. Would probably be the best if you're not 100% comfortable with it and you want to be 100% sure that your files and folders are being selected. I'd say for Jennifer and for Jeannie that maybe that would be the best thing to maybe log into your My Support section and pop onto the live chat, and you'll get a support agent there and they can set up a remote session with you and make sure that you have your files and folders selected. Okay, let me know if that suits you guys. Okay, so that's for Jeannie and for Jennifer. Okay. Okay, yeah, Sydney. Okay, so my email address is niallf@mozy.com. I will post it in here if you'll allow me. Okay, so okay, so you should have all got that's my email address there. Okay, so if you've any so Sydney, if you pop me an email there, okay, and we can go through, we can get somebody set up, I can get one of the support agents here to set up a support case for you. Okay, so if you just send me an email and just include a brief description of your issue, and I'll see that I can get a support agent to open up a case for you and reach out to you. Okay. Yeah, Manny. Yeah, I would recommend that you would use their email addresses for the setup. Again, even if they have the email address and password, they'll only be able to log in and see their own machine. They won't be able to log into your administration console and see all the other users. Don't need their password. Again, if you're going to be the one doing the installation for them, Manny, you will have the opportunity to create the password for them. So if you don't need them to have the password, then you can do that also. If they require the password, then you can get them set up the password themselves. You will still have access from your administration console to monitor to make sure everything is okay for their backups. Maybe if you have, okay, sorry, essentially I want them to get the backup and not even mess with most. Yeah, so what may be best is if you send me on if you email me to niallf@mozy.com, okay, and send me on the list of things that you want to be able to do, and then send me your email address for your administration console. And what I'll do is I'll check it out myself, and we'll see. I mean, if you want, yeah, look, basically you can do that, or yeah, I mean, you can also, like, yeah, if you want to be in control of it, you can, if you're doing the installation for the users, then you can install it and create the password. That way then they will be able to, if you select the option here, if you select this option here, automatically log me in when opening the settings window, then that will allow that will allow your users to, they'll be able to open up the settings window here and do an in-client restore if they need to. Otherwise, they can log in online and do a web restore. But if you want them to log in online and be able to do web restores, they'd need to be able to know their password. Okay. Yeah. So I think maybe that might be best if you go ahead and email me with the with what you want to be able to do and so on. And what I'll do is I'll get back to you on that then. And I'll have a look at your account. Okay. Thanks, Manny. Thanks for joining. And thanks for the questions. Okay, perfect, Jennifer. Glad that helped. Yeah, so okay, so is there anybody any other questions? Okay, Deborah. In the file system, the gray tick mark means that there's files within that folder selected, but not all files are. Okay. So, for example, here in desktop, it's grayed out because not every file on my desktop is selected for backup, but there are some within there selected. Okay. Okay, if there's no more questions, I'll leave it open there for another minute. If not, thank you to everybody for joining today. Our next Mozy webinar will be the third Wednesday in November. So I believe that is the 21st of November. Okay. Again, thanks everybody for joining. That's no problem at all, Manny. Appreciate it. Okay, so we're going to wrap up there for today. Again, thanks everybody for joining, and we'll hope to see you again in November.